Hi there, welcome back. How are you today? So I thought I'd go through, you can change your past and read through different pages and how things have, I guess, changed since I wrote this beautiful book. As we keep evolving, we keep seeing life through different eyes, our perspective changes. And in the live stream, I was trying to share that beautiful saying that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's this beautiful quote by Dr. Wayne Dyer. And on that day, Friday, for some reason, my brain was fried and I just, everything was upside down for me that day. I went in and I was trying to do a live stream and I was doing it in my other YouTube channel and wondering why no one's showing up on the live stream. It was just the most hilarious kind of day. But that was one of the beautiful quotes that I was trying to share in that moment. And I remember fumbling through it, but I couldn't quite get the words. So let's sit with this beautiful quote before I start reading from my book. There was a passage, a little bit I wanted to read and then go from there. Because as the weeks have progressed, especially through this YouTube channel, my perspective has changed yet again. So the beautiful quote by Dr. Wayne Dyer is, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So one example may be, okay, I grew up and I was taught as I was growing up that it's the woman's job to change the man. When we have a partner, in the South American tradition, it seems to be the way that when we marry our partner, it's our job to change them to our way, to fix them to our way. I grew up with this teaching in my home. And as I've evolved, and especially after I woke up, because before waking up, I already knew well into my second relationship that it wasn't my job to change my partner. It wasn't my job to fix them. It wasn't my job to heal them, and whatever other words you want to use, change them, fix them, heal them, do anything with them, really, except interact. After I woke up, I realized that so many times, with my husband, he's always pointing me to things that I don't want to look at, pointing me to truths that I'm not aware of yet. And with time, I've learned that our beautiful relationships with our partners can help us to grow and awaken and evolve. So that is one perspective that for me has completely changed. We're not here to change the other person, but we are here to share our lives with them. And as we share, we grow together. So I have learned so much about myself from beautiful conversations that I've had with my husband. Now, what I was reading today in the beautiful book, You Can Change Your Past, I was going to go through chapter 2, The Birth of the Ego, because so much has changed since I wrote this book. But they're all like the next step to the next level, if you like. And as we become more aware and more aware and more awakened, we view things differently each time. We let go of more things we don't need to hold on to anymore. And you'll find that the more you awaken, the more you become aware, the less beliefs you need to hold on to. It's about really letting go. That's the funny thing, becoming spiritually enlightened is more about letting go of all the things that aren't truly us, all the things that aren't who we really are. And we spend a whole lifetime accumulating all these beliefs all these ideas of who we are in the world, only to find when you start to awaken that it's time to let all that go, because it is not who you are at all. So, page 14, chapter 2, The Birth of the Ego. When you are born into this world, you are given the opportunity to construct an ego. The job of the ego is to keep you separate from Source, to keep you stuck in the illusion. This is the reason for your journey, that you may remember who you are and therefore return home. That was it. That was all I had to read today. To realize that, again, my perception has changed. And I hear so many people talking about this, that the reason we are here is to wake up to who we are and return home. But through this gorgeous book, it's the last one I have written. The last one that I published. I'm in the middle of the next book. And again, new information is being revealed. So in this book, you can change your past. The information was, this is the reason for your journey, that you may remember who you are and therefore return home. This is a step in awakening, one step, remembering who we are. But it is not the reason that we are here. I also believed, there again, there's that belief, looking at the world, thinking, oh, this is what I'm doing here. I'm just returning home. And returning home is returning to Source, returning to Spirit, returning to the energy that you are. This is what we mean by returning home. Not that some alien spaceship is going to beam down and pick you up and take you away back to your planet. This is not what we mean by return home. Although, yes, you may be an alien that has been given this opportunity to come here and have this wonderful experience, to know what it is to live a human life. So I'm not ruling out that possibility, but what we mean by returning home is remembering the love that you are. That is what we are talking about when we say returning home. It's remembering the love that you are, the unconditional love that you are. This is returning home. But this is not the purpose of why we are here. And perhaps as more is revealed on this wonderful journey that I am on, with time I will find that there is more to it than what I can see at this point in time. But I am sharing what I have been given so far. And the truth of why we are here at this point in time, what I can see, the information I've been given, is that we are here to have this beautiful human experience. We are here to know what it is to feel jealousy, to feel guilt, to feel shame. All of it. What it is to fall in love. What it is to feel the rain on your skin when it falls down from the sky. To use our beautiful senses completely to have this gorgeous human experience. This is why our soul is here. Our soul returns home when we pass away and we leave behind this vessel anyway. Yes, it can return home along the way. That may be a choice. What does it feel like to walk this earth when you are in your soul state? Must be the most wonderful experience to be in bliss, to be in joy, to be complete unconditional love in every moment of every day as you have this human experience. But this is what we are in our natural state when we leave this place, this simulation. So what would be the point of being all that here when this is who we are when we leave? So I put it to you today, what if all the wonderful experiences we had in our childhood, in our teenage years, in our adult years, we came to have them fully. You know, I talk about my childhood and people probably think, oh, you know, she must have been miserable. Because I share so much about the trauma around growing up with my mum, you know, after my sister was born. But, you know, I spent many hours at school, and I would spend many hours on my own. It wasn't, my whole day was filled with that trauma. That was a small percentage of the day. Let's call it 2%, maybe 3%. Getting in trouble, getting smacked, getting yelled at. For the most part, I had a wonderful, wonderful childhood that I remember. I was very joyful. I was always in my own little world. You know, I was saying, you know, to the people on the live stream on Friday, I think by the time I was 9 years old, maybe earlier, no, it could have been 9, we already had the whole World Book Encyclopedia at home. We had the full set. And by the time I was 12 and I was about to start high school, my parents had already bought the whole Britannica Encyclopedia. I remember we had shelves with all these wonderful books. And they had bought the beautiful Britannica set so that I could do high school comfortably. I had all the information I'd ever need because we don't have, you know, like now you turn on the internet and you can discover all sorts of wonderful information. Back in my day, we're talking the 70s, we had books and that was it. All our information came from books. That's how we learned, unless our parents could teach us. But as neither of my parents had education, you know, by the time, I think Mum dropped out of school when she was 9 years old, she had to go work, and Dad the same. My dad was the same. By the time he was 9, 10, around that age, he had to work full-time on the farm. You know, he didn't get to finish even primary school, you know. They were very poor backgrounds. So in my childhood, I feel that I had everything I needed to thrive. At 10, my parents asked me if I wanted to play a musical instrument or if I wanted to do something like dance or singing, and for some reason, I chose piano. I don't know why, I just had this fascination with piano. And for the next 2 years, I went in at 8 o'clock in the morning to my school because even today, it's still quite expensive to buy a piano to have at home. It's not something that just everyone can go out and afford one. Nowadays, to get a nice piano, a good working piano, you're looking somewhere between $2,000 to $5,000. And the 2,000 range is not that good. You know, the keys aren't that great, and I wouldn't be going towards the 2,000 range. If you're looking for something that's going to last you for at least the 8 to 10 years that it's going to take to get through all the grades for exams, you know, you want a good, decent size piano with good keys. So you're looking at around $5,000. That's now. But even in those days, buying a piano was not something that, you know, you were out of pocket for quite a few months. So, you know, even in those days, it was one of the more expensive instruments to buy. And so, you know, they paid for me to have lessons, and we got permission from the school, and I would go in every morning at 8 o'clock from Monday to Friday with the cleaners. You know, they would open up the door to the room. Well, it was the music room where we used to sing choir. And we always had someone play the piano, give us the notes and everything. And I would go in and practice before school started. I would get that time, 5 days a week, you know. And I did that for 2 years until, you know, well, I was 10 and 11, so years 5 and 6 at school. And by then, my parents thought, okay, she's definitely keen to continue learning. You know, it wasn't just a fad, you know, or what do you call it, a phase that I was going through. Although I wasn't much for phases. I wasn't one of those kids that I did something for 5 minutes and I was done. I usually, when I said I wanted to do something, I did it, you know, like I really got into it. And I'm still like that, you know. And so, yes, by the time I was 12, my parents bought me my first piano. And I just, you know, I couldn't get off this instrument. I was sitting at it, you know, before I went to school. I did my hour before school because I had it there now. I didn't have to go to school to do it. So I got up really early and I would practice an hour, you know, go to school, come back, play another hour because I had it there, you know. So I had everything I needed, you know, that to have a happy childhood, all these beautiful material things that I needed for my journey. I had everything, you know. I haven't spoken much of my dad, but my dad growing up was my rock. You know, he was what to me seemed like unconditional love at the time. You know, he loved me completely for who I was, you know, for who I am. I didn't have to do anything to earn his love. You know, if I got straight A's, he didn't care. If I got D's, you know, or whatever at school. The straight A's were for my mum to keep her happy, you know. But yeah, it was, and for her, I think my mum was pushing me to be the best that I could be in her eyes, you know, because she never got the chance to finish school, and she loved reading, she loved learning as well, but she didn't have that opportunity because they were too poor, you know. So she really pushed for me to do well because she could see that I had the potential, you know, to go far with studying. But for me, it wasn't what I wanted to do. You know, I was in my 3rd year of uni and I just walked out of class one day. And that was it for me. It was like, I don't need a title on the wall to define me. I don't need any of that. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. I didn't have a passion for it. You know, I was just doing it to keep everyone around me happy because my boyfriend was studying, you know, and he was going to have a career. And in South America, people with careers need to be partnered with people that have careers. It's this sort of mentality, you know. But for me, I didn't feel that. I didn't want that. I didn't want my partner loving me because I have a title on the wall. I have a degree of some kind. You know, I didn't feel I needed it. And if he needed that, then I didn't want to be with him, you know. So, yeah, that was just me. You know, I always thought differently. I didn't think that I needed that for financial support, you know, throughout my life. And coming here, I mean, when I was working in the city where I met my husband, there were people working there that had degrees from overseas, but here in Australia weren't valid, you know. They weren't, what do you call it? They needed to do the degree here for Australia to accept that they could work in that field. They couldn't just come to Australia and say, oh, I'm an engineer or whatever, and Australia would go, oh, okay, there you go, you can get into engineering jobs. No, you had to do certain courses at university to validate that degree here in Australia. So I would have come back and my degree would have been completely invalid anyway here. I would have had to start all over again. So, you know, all these things, different perspectives. So remember, this video is about when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so today in this video, I wanted to put it to you. What can you look at differently today? That is the question for today, the question for this video. What can you look at differently? What have you been looking at that you feel, what if I look at that in a different way, in a different light? What if I'm looking at it completely the opposite of how it should be? You know, I mean, there is no should. This is your experience, and that's the reason you're looking at it that way. But what if you looked at it differently? And one thing you can start looking at differently is your relationship with your partner, your relationship with your children. What is the purpose of your relationship with your partner? Let me know in the comments. What do you think is the purpose? Why is your partner in your life? What is the reason? What is your role in that relationship? Interesting. All right, my beautiful being. I love you guys. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages. And I'll see you in the next video, okay? Bye for now.